I'm so excited for another day of our Embodied Leadership Training. Yes, and for those that haven't heard, we've rebranded this. If you are here today, you are now part of the Embodied Leadership Tribe. And I've been trying to frame, what is embodied leadership? And I have an actual definition for you all, and it's really simple. There's some new people here, so I'm going to tell you a little about myself. My name is Kai. Marianne is my mom. I've grown up in this world. When I first dove into this, I thought it was really weird. And I grew up playing soccer and surfing. And I hit a point in high school and towards college where I was like, my parents are so weird. This stuff is the weirdest stuff ever. I'm going to go learn from other people who know what they're doing because my parents have no idea what they're doing. And I went to Berkeley and studied with all these spiritual teachers there. I got really into spirituality, and I was big seeker on what's the truth about life, because living on this planet is easy or is hard? Is hard. This is a hard planet to live on, right? And we come in with no manual, no guidelines for how to do it. And our parents oftentimes don't know how to do it. I didn't think my parents knew how to do it. So I was looking for all these people, and then I realized after studying with all these different people, actually, these other people have no idea what they're doing. And my parents are freaking brilliant. And they figured out a way, and this is actually the essence of embodied leadership. They figured out a way of how do you live this spiritually connected, deep internal connected pathway, which the greater levels of society does not operate on at all. And as a result, there's very little fulfillment in our culture and in our life. But how do you actually do that where I'm not just off in a jungle, isolating by myself, thinking I'm so connected, but actually do that in today's modern age, in society, in a way that we are relating to our family members that drive us nuts, and we're relating to our partners even when they drive us nuts, and actually doing this functionally in life. And it is very, very hard. I've been training this for 20 years, and I'm still training. But it really freaking works. And it really is encapsulated in this idea of embodied leadership. And I also design learning programs based on the science of how the brain learns. So one of the things I'm really big on is bringing the best way of training based on the latest research on the science of learning and integrating that into our environment today. And whether I speak to that or don't speak to that, that's a big part of everything that we are here to do. So embodying embodied leadership, coming back to why embodied leadership, and this is the phrase, this is the term that we've used to coin how to do this style of living. It's really simple. It's two elements. It starts, the embodied element is you are connected inside, right? Because there's no way you can lead a life that is fulfilled and enriching and connected and bridging that soulful connection if you don't have and start with a connection inside. But then the other part is that you are actually stepping into leading your life. And leading doesn't mean that you are just in a leadership position, right? It means you are leading from the role that you are in. You're leading as a son, or you're leading as a parent, or you're leading as an employee, or you're leading as an employer, or you're leading as a friend. It means you are leading. You are taking charge from whatever role you are personally in. And you're doing that across your life. And this is what we are here to do. And it's encompassed in this beautiful epic diagram of where you can see the middle parts are really all of the 5 movement forms, because all of this is based on an embodied movement practice where we're doing drop in, flow easy, reach out, power up, and gotta move. And then bridging from that somatic connection to all of the realms of life, in relationship, in life, where we're speaking from our knowing, we're taking incremental steps, we're making contact, we're operating out of integrity, and we're also working with our adaptability and flexibility. So to train on these skills, and I almost see this as almost like a church or temple we come to monthly, right, as a collective tribe to come together to train in a very embodied and interconnected way. You know, we have all different themes that we use to dive in to really bridge these somatic practices and bridge them into our life principles. And so today's topic, as Marianne already introduced, is team play, the key to manifestation. I'm sure many people have heard this, but there's an ancient African proverb, and it kind of sums up the value and importance of team play in one. So there's a pretty simple model of what we're working with. You can think about it in terms of 2 elements, team playing with yourself and team playing with others. If you're only team playing with others, that's going to fall way on the accommodating side or what can be the people-pleasing tendency, right? There's a lot of, obviously, cons with that where you lose that connection with yourself. Team playing just with yourself and not considering others really tends to isolate you and put you in a lone wolf capacity. If you're not team playing with others or yourself, you're really going to be in a more fragmented state. And then what we're working with is how do you start from connecting and aligning and creating that team play and harmony in your body, in yourself, but then how do you bridge that and connect to that and be in that frequency and consider and work with everyone else. So that's what we're here to work with today. And I'll end it by saying there is the largest hedge fund in the world that has like $150 billion in assets or whatever. They have a framework for how they identify people they want to hire. And there's skills, which are typical things you can learn every day that is considered, oh, whatever, we can just teach people skills. There's abilities, which are really important, right? These are like creative thinking or problem solving or communication or all of these different elements, which are also very important. But this is not what's fundamentally most important. What they specifically hire for and what's the fundamental elements of the hardest areas to build in life, it's beliefs and or principles. And team play is a belief in principle. It is something that you take, that you pick, that you say, I want to do this, I believe in this, I want to support this, and then you hold that as a direction, as an intention, and you constantly put your energy and intention back towards it. That's how you learn any belief or principle. It's not something you learn from a book or from a video. It is from that constant intention and belief. So that's what we're here to practice today. And again, our unique approach to practicing all of these principles and skills is starting with the somatic movement, the somatic elements, because that's how we connect in order to drop into the frequency, because a lot of these principles is about building a frequency of operating. Anyone want to guess what core, we're actually going to work with two movement forms, but there's one core movement form we're going to work with that embodies that principle of team play. Anyone want to guess what it is? Every single one of them, right? So every one of them is important, but as Marianne and I spoke about this, we really realized the foundation is dropping in, right? If you can't drop in and connect to that frequency of harmony inside yourself and feel that frequency, you're going to really struggle with connecting to the frequency of team play and building team play in your life. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start by just engaging. Again, we're going to do talking, we're going to do a lot of elements, we're going to do a lot of practices, but this is at the core. This should be a somatic day. Make sure you are practicing the somatic movement component the entire day, regardless of what you're doing. And that's part of the magic of what we're doing, is starting with that connection. And then how do you not just do that in isolation, but bridge that as we're interacting and relating with everybody in our lives.